listen. I think the framing of that, what, top three, probably means it's number three. Let's just say,
Yeah.
might not be of the ones that you just alluded to, but listen, if we're talking about losses here a little bit on this show, that is a bit of a loss.
There have been a lot of trades and transfers and things that have happened. Let's give you the roundup. Free agency, trades, and contract updates that have happened. It dropped this morning officially. U.S. Women's National Team and Gotham defender Jenna Nighswonger is transferring to Arsenal. We just touched on it in the previous segment, but this is a really big deal. Christine, I'm going to toss this one to you. What a move for Jenna Nighswonger. What does this do to her career?
I mean, it's great for her. We know that Nighswonger has the capacity to play in a couple different roles, and I'm sure that we'll get to see that. Obviously, she'll have to adapt to like an Arsenal system, but I think she's quality, and she's familiar with the other side of that back line in Emily Fox.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting. I think that Renee has been making some really smart moves. She's gotten that team to come back together. They do need some reinforcements, both in attack and defense. But I think that they're moving in a good way. Nighswonger, obviously, she has some deficiencies when she ends up being sort of on the weak side, even when she'd be thrown in with Gotham. But I think that this is an opportunity for her to cultivate some additional skills and refine.
Some other transfer news: Orlando Pride have transferred Brazilian international forward Adriana to Saudi Women's Premier League side Al Qadisha. I'm not sure. I'll get you guys back on that one. This is also, they've reported a club record transfer fee as one of the top highest transfers for Orlando Pride and one of the top 3 highest transfer fees in NWSL history. There was no specific number attached to this, but highest in Orlando Pride history. That means it beats out Barbara Banda last year at $740,000. And Rachel Kudananji was also another highest at $787,600. We know that Naomi Girma just went for 1.1. Adriana spent 2 years with Orlando, winning the Shield and the championship. And now Sandra, she's off to the Saudi Women's Premier League.
Well, it sounds like Saudi Women's Premier League is the greatest league in the world now. I don't know what to tell you. That's just how it works. That's how it works. I've been told by the internet that is how it works. As soon as there's a headline type of fee, that league is now the greatest league in the world, and all other leagues are in the dirt.
Standard.
Listen. I think the framing of that, what, top 3, probably means it's number 3. Let's just say, might not be of the ones that you just alluded to, but. Listen, if we're talking about losses here a little bit on this show, that is a bit of a loss. I think that's a loss for Orlando Pride. I mean, this is a player that was part of that incredible run that they had with the Pride last year. And I would argue that one of those players that became that type of champagne problem kind of player. At some point, I think we all were looking at Orlando and you had to wonder how much of this is going to be sustainable moving forward, because you had so many good pieces, and that's a difficult job as a coaching staff to say, this is the player that's going to start, this is the player that's going to come off of the bench. And Adriana, I think at times became that player. We saw a lot of rotation at certain points, whether it was Adriana, Angelina, McCutcheon, Summer Yates, how are they going to rotate and balance a long season, potential injuries, things like that. And this is coming by way a little bit of player request as well. That was reported as well. So some efforts here, it sounds like, on all parties to honor that request. But it's a bit of a loss for Orlando, who are going to try to run it back in 2025. So we'll see how that looks and plays out tactically moving forward.
Personally, I'm very sad that Adriana is leaving the NWSL.
That's a bummer.
I love watching her play. She is so fun. She is so crafty on the ball. She's almost underrated, right? We talked about this before the show even started, that she does so much of the dirty work, Adriana, and she was such an influential part of Orlando's double last season, that it's almost going to be a bigger hole than I think people realize. It's going to be interesting to see how Seb Hines and the staff at Orlando adjust to the missing piece of Adriana. There's still a lot of talent at Orlando, and they can bring in other players, but to me, she is going to be a big loss for their build-up play, how they keep the ball. She is so solid. The ball sticks to her like glue. It's sad personally, as like a fan of watching her play. I'm sad about this one because not quite sure I have room on my plate for the Saudi Women's Premier League next season. So we'll see. So other big news happening. Lyon is reportedly finalizing a deal for Brazilian international and Houston Dash defender Tarciane. It's a transfer fee of around $830,000. Plus there's some performance-based add-ons there that could bring the transfer fee close to $1 million. So set to be one of those top transfers again. But this is a big deal. Tarciane really only in Houston for half the season, Sandra, last year.
I was wrong. It's not Saudi Arabia. It is now France. France is now leading the way in the women's game for best league in the world. Congratulations. So listen, turns out I am also easily influenced as well. It's not just the YouTube. I too. Oh, wow. I was incorrect. It is not NWSL or Women's Super League or even Saudi Arabia. It is France.
Well, it's not France yet. This is still reported.
Well, if it comes to life. If it gets over the line, for now it's Saudi. If it gets over the line, it will be France. But sarcasm aside, it would be a loss for Houston. Again, we're giving winner loser energy here. That's a loss for Houston. Yeah. We were high on this acquisition for the Dash last season, a season where I think so many of us were kind of grasping for anything for Houston as they navigated a really tough 2024. And this was one of those silver linings. It was one of those bright spots. It didn't look like this was a player who came into the mix and needed time to get acclimated. Tarciane was one of these players that came in and immediately aided their back line, a team that was struggling and bleeding goals at one point. So this collective of making moves for Tarciane, getting Paige Nielsen, Natalie Jacobs, like how is this going to look? And it turns out they were cooking a little bit. It was looking pretty good. But if this gets over the line, that's maybe another a big piece that perhaps the Dash were hoping to build with and upon moving forward that they're not going to have anymore. So huge talent, I think, and massive gift for Lyon.
I think it's a little bit interesting too, because for Tarciane to go to Lyon under Joe Montemuro, who's a very rigid coach, I don't see how that Brazilian flair and spirit thrives under that. But hey, I mean, I've been wrong.
Hey, we'll see. We'll keep an eye out. We'll keep you guys updated too, if and when that deal for Tarciane to Lyon is official. Other news out of rosters dropping preseason in NWSL: defender, midfielder, forward, U.S. Women's National Team Crystal Dunn has announced that she has parted ways with Gotham FC. She did put out a post saying, quote, "Thank you, Cloud9 and all of the fans for showing up with your energy and unwavering support. To my teammates, thank you for your kindness and your encouragement. The city of New York will forever be my home, and it will always hold a special place in my heart." Dunn transferred to Gotham ahead of last season after Gotham won the 2023 championship. She played her least amount of minutes in her 4 previous NWSL seasons. That's not including the season with Portland where she was coming back from maternity leave. But this past year, she just didn't see the field a lot. Also, after the Olympic break, she was on an excused absence for the remainder of the season, and she's now leaving. There are some reports that she could be going overseas, maybe PSG. There's a lot of rumors swirling out there. Of course, we'll keep you guys updated on where Dunn lands and what's the next step in her career. But interesting to see kind of how she put out her words of goodbye to the Gotham club. Some other NWSL preseason roster news comes out of the Chicago Stars. Forward Mallory Swanson, U.S. Women's National Team player, will miss the start of training camp due to personal reasons. She did put out a statement that said from Swanson, quote, "I'd like to thank the club and the fans for their understanding during this time. I appreciate the kindness and encouragement from my teammates and all the Stars staff, and I hope to be back with the team and playing in front of our fans as soon as I can." So 2 really big names there, Sandra, that are no longer or not with their clubs right now, right? Dunn announcing that she's leaving Gotham and Swanson just not at camp right now. Yeah, Sandra, we're muted. I don't know.
I was just saying, I mean, listen, I'm muted for a reason because I'm not going to speculate. So it got put out that she's going to join preseason at a later time, and she's missing out the beginning of it for personal reasons, and that's what it is. I think folks want to, even like with Crystal Dunn, I think folks want to, speculate a little bit there. I think, but you're right, Lisa. Sometimes words can be intentional, and people are going to note the fact that in a farewell like that from Dunn, that there's no thinking of the club, there's no thinking of the coaches, and folks are going to read that and question about that. So, I guess it's back to France, huh? France is going to be the best league, I guess. Rumors.
It's the best league.
I'm sorry, but every time somebody says France, that meme plays in my head, and I had to get that out.
Guys, it's not all sad news. It's not all goodbyes. We have a couple players that are sticking around. The MVP of last year, Kansas City Currents forward Temwa Chawinga. She signs an extension with the Current through 2028. She's sticking in the NWSL and with Kansas City. Great to see. Also, that's happening on the West Coast as well. Angel City FC, they extend the contracts of forward Alyssa Thompson and her sister defender Giselle Thompson through 2028. Those players are all sticking around.